Hi everyone, welcome back to the LQW podcast. Today's conversation is one that really matters, not just in our work, but in our communities and everyday lives. Today we're talking about autism, not just awareness, but understanding, connection, and what real support looks like. I think a lot of times people hear the word autism and they aren't quite sure what it truly means beyond that label. But behind that label are individuals, families, stories, growth, and a whole lot of strength. That's why I'm really excited about today's guest. We're joined by Dryen, who brings such a unique perspective. She's a special education teacher and also a mom to twin boys with autism. So she sees this from both sides, professionally and personally. And that insight is so valuable. Cindy, thank you so much for being here today. We're really excited to have you. So let's get started. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your role as a special education teacher?
Yeah, so I am a mother of twin boys with autism, Jason and Clayton, and they were diagnosed at the age of 2. I came from Iowa, so coming to Missouri to find those support systems for the boys was a huge step in my life. As for being a special education teacher, this is a way of giving back to the community for what the Hannibal District has given me during the years of Jason Clayton's journey.
Can you tell us a little more what those early days looked like when you and your family first started noticing differences and going through that diagnosis process?
Yeah, so when the twins were born, they stayed in the ICU for 21 days. Jason didn't have good breathing once he was born. So lots of antibiotics and just getting their health back up to par. Through the years, the milestones of them growing, I was really blinded. It took my mom to tell me that something just wasn't connected. Mm-hmm. Their milestones were delayed, and more so with Clayton. He wouldn't roll. He was a happy kid, but just those little milestones not meeting and the development was a concern. So I was very blinded, and I was like, oh, nothing was wrong, and my mom was like, well, it won't hurt to get them tested. Well, at that time, you couldn't get them tested till they were 2 years old. So it was a waiting process. So it took us 2 years to get them tested in Columbia. We moved to Missouri, and my parents, they sold their place to come with me to help me with my kids as a single parent. We waited the 2 years, and they were diagnosed with severe autism at the age of 2.
Wow. And what has that journey looked like since then? Can you tell us a little bit about the support that you found in their community and what that's looked like and how it's helped you and your family?
Yeah, absolutely. The boys were nonverbal, so when I moved to Hannibal in 2009, they were 7. I didn't know how to help them. So I got a hold of the district, and we started off with sign language, and that really helped with Jason. Clayton, he screamed a lot, and so he didn't know how to get his words out or even pointing to exactly what he was wanting. So it was a really tough and challenging life and very overwhelming. So when we got him and Jason plugged into the special needs program, they really helped us by giving those accommodations and the resources that they needed to, and they had them talking within a year. It was a very wonderful experience, and we hooked up with Easter Seals, Judavine, Marion County Services. Those were the only 3 resources I knew at the time. We did a lot of research, my mom and I. We took them to a naturopathic doctor. So they weren't on formula. They were on goat's milk to give them those nutrients that they really needed for the development. We just kind of did a lot of research on our own besides what the district was giving us. So
I'm glad you had so much good support. And it sounds like, diving in and, finding those resources. And it's exciting to know today, too, from your experience, how much more is out there and available.
Yes.
And what a good advocate you are, too, when people are starting to go through this process and journey to figure out what can we do and how to better support them. Yeah. And the exciting thing, too, is to know Jason and Clayton personally. And we love having them in our Youth Exploration for Success programs. And now they attend our Day Hab program. And just to see them excel and grow, and see Jason having found employment. And, as you're talking about the boys growing up, just for us to personally know them and see their success is huge and so exciting. Yes. So can you tell me some of your favorite moments or things that your boys have taught you?
My boys have taught me strength. They've opened up a whole new world that I never understood and knew. I have more patience now than I ever had. So, and I look at life differently. They gave me that. We were brought on this earth the same, but we just need different things to be successful. So, just watching them grow and seeing what they need in life to help them be successful has really helped me, even in my path as a special education teacher, because I see those signs that they have taught me, and I see them in the classroom, and I know how to put the parents on the right path. So
absolutely, I can see how that's been very beneficial for you, and then I'm sure that even if you didn't necessarily know at the time, that your now career path is definitely shaped and influenced by your boys and, really helped you guys, which is great and awesome to hear. So we hear a lot about autism awareness, but more people are talking about autism acceptance. What does that mean to you?
Well, acceptance is pretty much what it sounds like. Accepting a person as who they are. Really tell everybody just because they are disabled doesn't mean that they get treated differently. So I always say, Jason Clayton may have this disability, but they are just like us. We treat them with respect, with kindness. We shape them, show them new things, and we give them the love that everybody always wants.
You're right, exactly. We all just want to be accepted, and I think you said it perfectly. Each person's unique, and themselves are their own individual. So how has that helped you when it comes to raising the boys and setting goals for themselves and their future?
So with the boys, I strive for them to have as much of a, quote, normal life, but normal in their aspect. So I always push them for greatness. Especially Clayton Jason, I do the same thing for him, but he responds differently. Clayton, he just needs that little nudge, and to know that he can do it. So my goals for them are continuous because I know that they can do it.
Absolutely. And I think that's huge, and we love when we're talking and helping support them to hear them because of you and their family influence and support they have, they know that they can achieve the things, and they are. And to hear them talking about, 5 years, 10 years from now, that they want families or their own place and what that will look like is so exciting.
It is.
And so achievable. And I'm over here smiling, just so proud. And to know you as a mom and how you must feel.
Yes, they've come a really long ways. And, I have to say, we have had so much support with my family, whether it's neighbors, teachers, church, immediate family that live in Iowa. So we don't really have family here in town. So it's really been great being a part of Hannibal because they have great support systems. And I've met a lot of people that, are still in our life today from the very beginning. So it's really nice, and they help me, and they help the boys, so
that's great
to achieve.
It's good to hear. We hear a lot about just those resources and that community involvement because it definitely takes a village to help people be successful.
Absolutely.
So what are some simple ways that people can be more inclusive in everyday life that you can think of, or some advice to help people?
I would say when it comes to the community, just show that kindness. See a child struggling, ask the parent, if they need any help. I remember when I first moved to Missouri, the boys were 2, and I was at the Walmart in Bowling Green with my mother, and she took Jason off to another area, and I had Clayton, and Clayton struggled really, really hard. He was the aggressive 2-year-old. So this kind man came up to me. I was in tears, and he's like, "Is there anything I can help you with?" And he was just the kindest gentleman I had ever met. And I just was sobbing, and I was like, "No, he's just autistic, and I'm just learning this whole new life." And he just gave me a big old hug. So just being kind, and don't be afraid to include families with their children instead of separating those children away, because I really feel like the more those children with disabilities are brought into family functions, community activities, it will help them in life, and we can just show them how life can be so wonderful just being together. So
absolutely, I think that first step is definitely just the inclusion and advocating and bringing people to the table. And there's not a seat, making sure there's a chair so that they can feel included and have the same experiences as everybody else.
Absolutely.
Is there anything else you'd like to share with our listeners today?
I know parents struggle, especially when you know that your child has a disability at a young age. There's going to be steps, there's going to be lots of emotions. If you see any signs at an early age, the best thing to do is get hooked up to your community support, whether it's First Steps or just talk to your local doctor, pediatrician. They can help you get involved with the right resource. But to tackle it the earliest is the best way. But also, when it comes to yourself, you have to make sure that you take care of yourself first before you can help your child. I did not at first, because I was a single parent doing it all on my own, plus my daughter, who is 15 months older, I felt like she was being left out, and thankful that I had great neighbors across the street. Thank you, Ayers family. But they helped making sure she had the childhood life that she needed, and she didn't miss out on things. As for the twins and for your own health, just do counseling. I did 3 years of counseling for my depression, my anxiety, my stress level, and it really helped shape me and kind of like see those triggers and see what I need to do better for myself so that I could help my own children. So
I think that's great advice, and sometimes something people don't think about, or you feel like you're in the trenches at the time, and so
right.
To know that, and know that that you're doing all that you can, and
Absolutely.
that you're still a great parent too.
And it doesn't hurt to there's times where I would just put myself in the bathroom and just release the tears. I mean, that is the most healthiest way that I know how to relieve stress, but it does happen. I mean, it's just how to overcome it. And I still have those days, but it's more of a joyful tears because they've progressed so much. So
exactly. I know you've talked a lot about continuing to advocate and share on your own platform too about your life experiences and now as an educator. And we also hear that you're also in a contest running for America's Favorite Educator. So congratulations, by the way.
Thank you.
We're rooting you on. So talking some more about your hopes and dreams as a mom and continuing, what are some future plans for you?
I have a life goal of doing a book, but also just reaching out to the families. So at the beginning of every year, I talk to the families for my special education class, and I tell them my story so that they understand and can have an eye-opening of letting the kids be themselves. It's very important that we give them that space to be themselves.
Let them see who they are individually, because I'm sure, as you saw, twins, often they get lumped together.
Right. So just letting them be themselves to develop individually. And, patience is a virtue. I always say that. Giving them the time to come out of, to de-escalate from those meltdowns, because you're going to see them. As a parent or as an educator, the one thing that I can share is always push the positives. Celebrate those big milestones so that they understand that what they're doing is wonderful. I mean, because in their mind, we never know how their mind is and what they're thinking, and we need to just celebrate them for achieving all those simple goals that we might think that are like any other child. But to them, it's something totally new. So it's definitely a process. But also, another thing I want to work on is just from the day my twins were born to the time that they're making their own choices, whether it's in college, work, living on their own, being a dad, which scares me, driving. Jason says he wants to drive, another thing that scares me, but just giving them that little step to help them understand if that's something that they really want to do. So when Jason came home one day and he's like, I want to drive, Mom, and I'm like, okay, how do I make this work? Okay, so maybe not a real car, but a golf cart, or go to Scotty's and let him drive the go-karts and stuff. That's like the little step that you can take. As for being a dad, that scared me even more because I didn't know what that would look like. So his sister just recently had a baby when he brought this up, and so she brought Lincoln over, and I said, okay, Jason, this is how it looks like to take care of a baby. When he cries, it's not always we have to say it's okay, because a baby can't communicate as well, back. It's holding the baby, rocking the baby, feeding the baby, changing the baby's diaper, and then it kind of made him look at it differently. Like maybe he doesn't want to do that. But we're still working on it. So, and if that's the life that he wants, I will try to make it possible for him. But it's those steps. And you really have to think with an open eye and think outside the box when you're thinking, how do I make this work in his way of life? So
that's a great advice and a good example. And those little steps are key. And being in a rural area, you know how many people drive golf carts around town?
Yeah.
And sometimes that main goal is just transportation. So what does that look like in getting it in place? And it's just really neat to see, like you said, tackling each goal with an open mind, because now look at Jason. He has two jobs and a program Monday through Friday.
And he's wanting to go to college. So that's another step that we're looking into this summer, is getting that time to go look at it. They have a great special needs program over at John Wood Community College. And he wants to be a paleontologist. So I'm trying to find those outlets to make that happen, whether it's going to South Dakota so he can learn to dig next to an actual paleontologist so that he can see the work that they actually do. So that's on our bucket list, is to get him to experience all those things so he knows exactly what he wants to do.
I love that. And I love it as we're talking about each one of your kids too, because then if we were to talk about Clayton, it would be completely different, and that's okay. Because Clayton, because of you, is such a good advocate for himself, whereas he's not quite ready for employment.
No.
But he is still achieving those goals and being productive and growing into a good citizen himself. And to see that, and you just do a really good job of looking at each person individually, and especially your kids, and helping them, because we're all different. We all want different things. And so to see them growing and succeeding in their own ways and exploring is just phenomenal and awesome.
And that's another thing that I like to share, is having twins has really opened my eyes. Very overwhelming and busy. My life is constantly busy. But to help Clayton is totally different with Jason. His communication is lower. Just getting what's in his head out through his voice is so much harder because his anxiety level is higher. So getting him to communicate is that first step, and being okay with whatever comes out. If it's something that he won't get, he has to learn to be okay with it, that maybe it won't happen now, but it will happen soon. And he's a visual learner. I mean, if you have a child that is a visual learner, I suggest visual aids throughout your house. That's what I did. I had pictures on every drawer of their dresser of where their socks went, where their pants went, where their shirts went, so that they can learn to put their own clothes away. And that was at 9 years old. But just those little accommodations and modifying their way, I mean, tweaking the way of life and helping them is the best way for them. We all learn differently, so it's just finding what works. And you may be going through a lot of different ways of teaching, but you'll find that way.
Absolutely. Just don't give up, right?
That's right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, Cindy, thank you so much for sharing your story and your perspective with us. Conversations like this are so important in helping people move beyond just awareness and towards real understanding and acceptance. To everyone listening, thank you for being here with us. Let's continue to learn, support, and create spaces where everyone feels included and valued. We'll see you next time on the LQW podcast.